Everyone, thank you all for coming out today. This is the second presentation of 4 that we're going to be doing in honor of Native American History Heritage Month throughout November. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Roger Kane. He is a Cherokee National Treasure for mask making, correct? Okay, and with that I'm going to go ahead and introduce Roger and let him come up. You ready?
Do I need talk in this microphone? Okay, I talk right here. I don't know. Well, my name is Roger Kane, and I'm here to talk to you guys about the Cherokee Nation River Cane Initiative. It's a long time coming. We've been trying to get this project going for about 7 or 8 years, and so whenever the new chief came in, I thought, well, maybe there's time to try it again. And I saw he had environmental people on his staff, and I approached him, and they said, yeah, let's do this. So we started this last year, and so I'll go ahead and go from here. And what's neat about it is that we're Cherokee tribe doing our own research and conducting our own research and really interpreting our own data with our own land. So the purpose of the Cherokee Nation River Cane Initiative is to identify, document, map existing river cane ecosystems, cane breaks in the Cherokee Nation. And not only to do that, to identify and map them, but to also include traditional ecological knowledge associated with the river cane ecosystem as well. Why river cane, you say? Well, if you look at the map up in the upper left-hand corner, the green area, that is where they predict river cane will grow. The light green is places where it has been documented where river cane has grown at some time or another. And so that's what we know, but we don't know exactly where river cane is located. If you look at the lower left-hand corner, it says cane breaks are considered critically endangered ecosystems with a 98% decline in river cane ecosystems in North America. What that's saying, I won't finish it. What it's saying is that if you go back 500 years, this country was before Europeans, before contact, before colonials. River cane was grown in its natural state. And so it was at 100%. At that time, river cane breaks were anywhere from 20, 30 miles long to about 10 to 12 miles wide, and river cane grew to 50 feet tall. There are accounts from DeSoto and other early accounts talking about river cane being the size of a man's arm. So you're looking at a river cane that has about 3 or 4, maybe 5-inch diameter on it. But those ecosystems are no longer here. And so it's like, hey, we got to do something to protect river cane. It's not what it used to be. Just like Native Americans, we account for 1% of the population. River cane is the same boat as we Native Americans. We're very much the minority now. 500 years ago, we were the majority. So river cane has been getting a bad rip for quite a while. The man on the horse right there, he's in Louisiana, and they're tearing down that cane field. I don't know what they're going to plant there, but they're doing something. But if you'll notice, the man, he's sitting on a horse, and usually a man on a horse is about 7 or 8 feet up in the air, and so you can kind of guesstimate that cane break. That was about 30-foot tall cane break. The world record for cane is, I think it's 24, 25 feet tall. And that far exceeds it. Look at the diameter of the cane coming beside that horse. Those are 2-inch diameter cane pieces there. And the one on the right is just a way of talking about, if you look at the bottom, it says blood-curdling nightmare in the cane break. That's what's always associated with cane breaks, is it's where the riffraff goes. That's where they hide. And rightly so, because that's a great environment. You can get into a cane break in the middle of a rainstorm and you can be dry. It can be windy outside and you can be in a cane break and you don't get windy. That's why animals and creatures use cane breaks as a cover for them. So we have to change the attitudes towards cane breaks. Turns out they're pretty good. Not only culturally relevant to us, but also important for the environment. So river cane is also a millennial ecosystem in that it's found in woolly mammoths dating back 10, 15, 20,000 years ago. So these ecosystems supported these woolly mammoths back then, and so that they're very old ecosystems, thousands of years old. And going back to the Archaic period, it was archaic man, I guess, coming across the Bering Strait, I don't know. Maybe they come from South America, who knows. But they're old ecosystems, river cane is. Also, river cane is very much connected to our Cherokee ancestry, our southeastern Indian ancestry as well. The upper right-hand corner, the 2 black and white images at the top shows a summer house and a winter house for Cherokees used to have. The top of the one on the right has a roof and no walls on it. That's a summer house. The top would be covered with either tree bark or river cane, and the side wall back there would be a cane mat or possibly some brush or something for the back, just knocking out the wind or knocking out the sun. The circular structure on the left is a summer house. I mean, not a summer house, but a winter house, excuse me. And the top would be covered with cane matting or tree bark, and the sides would be on the lower left-hand side. You'll see a little, like a matting kind of thing. That is where river cane has been woven in between saplings, and then they put mud on the outside. It's called wattle and daub. On the inside of the structures, you'd have cane matting, which is on the right-hand side and bottom, that little basket weave right there. The walls, the ceilings, and the floors would be covered with river cane. DeSoto's accounts talks about how clean the structures and the houses were of the Indians. Contrary to what a lot of people say, we had clean, super clean houses. We covered the houses with river cane. It had silk in it, just like what we have on these tables and everything around here. Silk is very important. It's part of the river cane. And it's very important to us as Cherokee people, as Southeastern Indian people as well. Why river cane? River cane is still used today in our cosmology, in our stomp dances, in our medicine. This is from an anthropologist in the 70s. I think his name is William Howard or James Howard. I can't remember his name. But he was working with Willie Lena. He's a Seminole here in Oklahoma. And so they was talking about making medicine with river cane. If you go to early accounts, even the 1860s to the early 1900s, you'll see where people talk about how they can blow medicine through a cane tube. And as a little kid, I saw a little bit of that, but as I got older, I never did see that again. I remember seeing them having a tube doing some medicine, but that's something different. Besides the point. But the important part is river cane is still being used as modern Cherokee people in our cosmology, in our basketry, in our artistry, and we have to do something to protect this plant. Why river cane? Baskets, of course. The basket on the left-hand side, the one inside the other, these all are baskets made from bamboo. The ones on the left is bamboo from Asia. The baskets on the right are river cane. River cane is in the bamboo family. There are 3 species of river cane here in North America. There's Arundinaria gigantea, which is what we make our baskets out of. There's switch cane. I haven't come across that yet. I'm always looking for that. I get confused. And then there's over-the-hill cane, which is hill cane found in North Carolina in the Appalachians. And it's a deciduous. River cane is an evergreen, but the hill cane that they find in the Appalachians is a deciduous one when it loses its leaves in the wintertime. Sandy's cane rake at Christie, between Proctor and Christie, Oklahoma. Been coming here over 12 years, and this cane rake's never done this before. Very interesting. There it is going along the Barren Fork Creek, and it's going to start, there it is. Zoom in on it. There's some more cane brakes. More, all turning golden brown. Stalks are semi-green. Those look like they're brown there. This brake here at Sandy's is the greenest the stalks have been so far. They're turning tan. They're turning color. So we're going over to Illinois River next and check out those cane brakes there. In the spring of 2011, I think it was in February, we had 2 weeks of sub-zero temperatures. And as a result of that, we're not sure, but pretty sure it's what caused all the cane here in northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas to die off. I mean, it just all died off. It was really wild. I'd never seen that before. I've grown up in cane brakes all my life from a little kid up, and I never seen all the cane brakes all at one time go dead like this. So this cane brake I just videoed right here is at Christie. Been going there for quite a few years, and what's neat about this is in April, sometimes mid-April that same year, we had a 16-inch rain. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I remember we couldn't get out of my house for a couple of weeks. But it hit. This is right after I filmed this video you guys just saw. Sandy called me up right in the middle of that flood, and that rain, said, "Roger, that cane is turned purple." I said, "Oh, really? Wow." Because usually when a cane turns purple, it's a sign it's going to seed. So it's like, wow, I want to get out there, I want to get out there. So I couldn't get out there. We were flooded in. So I called her back, said, can you take pictures and send them to me? She did. And it was beautiful purple. All those cane brakes where I panned across, they all turned purple, beautiful purple. But I couldn't get out. And my phone, I got a new phone right after that, and so I lost all that stuff, and then she got divorced and she moved off. So I didn't get the pictures of all that being purple. You know, it was a perfect storm of wiping it out. So this same cane brake, if you look at the picture in the upper right-hand corner, that's what happened when that flood. That was a 16-inch rain. She sent pictures of it all day long of it, and it was slowly but surely that whole cane brake was all submerged because it's in a floodplain. It always gets flooded there. And so that's what's left over upper right-hand corner. So that cane brake pretty much got wiped out. Usually when it's green, they'll pop back up and just start back over again after a big giant flood. But after that one, after they turn purple and everything, they just get weakened and they die. Usually they'll turn purple and then they'll go to seed. So and then the seed's got some other knowledge stuff. So it was like, okay, we got to do something. This was in 2011. We had our Chiefs race, and it was like I was trying to approach anybody I could up at Cherokee Nation. Let's do something to protect river cane. So I petitioned them, and somehow we got river cane listed on the protected species list of the Cherokee Nation. So what it means is that river cane on tribal land is protected. On Cherokee Nation tribal land, it's protected. You're not supposed to get it unless you have a permit, which is pretty cool because we really don't know, as a Cherokee Nation, we really don't know where our river cane is located, how much we have, what is good, what is bad, don't know any of that stuff. But it is the only plant on this protected species list, along with the bald eagle, the black bear, and the mountain lion, which is pretty cool. We have a plant on there. There's no other tribe does this in the nation. That's pretty cool. And why river cane? Well, turns out river cane protects a lot of endangered species. It's also been known to be a habitat for extinct species as well, the passenger pigeon and the parakeet. We had parakeets in North America at one time. We had passenger pigeons at one time that would blacken the sky. They're no longer here. They hunted them all out. And so it's like, we do need to protect river cane. We need to find out what we have, where it is, and what we can do with it. Make sure it's protected. But it does have a long-eared bat. The tribe is protecting a long-eared bat. We've set across land that would make sure that the long-eared bat has protected land. So we have done that. But it turns out that the long-eared bat eats a moth that grows in cane brakes. So it's kind of, the circular motion thing. The burrowing beetle, which is a cool little beetle, I don't know, I haven't had a chance to see that one yet. No, Swainson's warbler, I finally got to see one this summer in a cane patch. And a cane rattler. I'm always looking for cane rattlers. I haven't come across one yet. I've come across a lot of water moccasins in this project, but not a cane rattler. I want to find one because those are endangered. So why river cane again? Well, we do know that whenever we as a tribe we do reenactments, we create villages to showing our history, our culture, and we do know that river cane is part of that. So we always plan to make sure it's part of our villages, our reenactments, our presentation to the public. Those children right there, I don't know what date this is, but I think it's in the 70s. What they're standing behind is a little cane patch, but that cane patch is from seed. So somebody at that time in that village knew how to gather river cane seed and how to plant it. Turns out river cane seed's only viable for 90 days. Around 90 days. After that, you can't grow it. It won't grow anymore. So somebody at some time in the village knew the river cane, some kind of river cane technology, traditional ecological knowledge. They knew that sometime. So if you go there and you see that cane brake that's in the village right now, you can pretty much, and if you knew this picture, you'd see how long it takes for cane to grow that big as it is in the village. Why river cane again? We're still using it. The guy in the water is Victor French. He's a neighbor. He's half Eastern Band and half Western Cherokee. We're always playing with stuff, and he's always talking about cooking stuff. We're playing with the fish trap out in the creek. The one on the right is Myra Robertson showing a Rowena Bradley basket to David Kozo. David Kozo works exclusively with the Eastern Band Cherokees doing their river cane research and propagation and stuff. The Eastern Band have been very active in trying to get river cane back on their reservation. They woke up one day and they realized they had no river cane on their land anywhere there in the Qualla boundary. They have to go 3 to 4 hours to drive to go get river cane. So they're doing all sorts of efforts to replant river cane on their on tribal land there. We already have it on our land, but it's all out over the place, and we got to know where it is. One thing about it that we do need to step it up on our basketry, getting our river cane basketry and our river cane technology going again, because it's something that's lying dormant. If you use Visner's idea of your cultural memory, in that we have memory of using river cane sometime or another in our memory because our grandparents and our great-grandparents used river cane, where they made baskets or blowguns or flutes or traps or whatever. But it's in our memory somewhere. We have to pull it out. Why river cane again? It's good for the environment. This is down there on Little Lee Creek, and this is a cane patch about to fall into the creek. And if you look in the lower left-hand corner, it's where the water has dug out the dirt underneath there, and it's going about 4 or 5 feet underneath that cane. What happens a lot of times is that floods will keep pulling that dirt out from underneath there, and that whole cane will just fall down and keep its place right there. That's what usually happens with that. And so that's why it's good for the environment. It controls erosion. And then the kicker on getting this Cherokee Nation River Cane Initiative going was this statement right here. And this was done by Southern Illinois University, I think it's about 8-9 years ago, and they found that river cane reduces groundwater and surface water by 90% and 28%, I can't remember what it is, 20% on the phosphorus and nitrogen. So it's like, it stops that much nitrogen and phosphorus, so it's doing something. So I was like, that could be applied somewhere, and that's what somebody in the administration here is like, we can maybe start putting that around our cattle operations, and let's stop polluting the water, and that's a good thing. It's not polluting the water. It's really great. So this is something that's really needs to be looked at, and we're looking at it. So here's a graphic example of what's going on with river cane, and that you'll see, it's not very big right there. You'll see river cane is a little green thing sticking up, and it slants down to the water right here. Oh, my pointer's not working on there. So what happens is that when it rains, the nitrogen and phosphorus in the field washes off. When it washes through the ground and through the surface, when river cane gets wet, it swells. And so when it does, it catches everything, catches nitrogen and phosphorus into the plant system itself, and then this slowly lets it back into the water. And it turns out that it's really good. It's a neat plant. I can't say enough about it. I wish I had better graphics than this, but I thought it'd show up better. I was hoping pointer. So what happens is, in river cane, if you put it next to a riparian area, like where it's circled with river cane right there, if the downslope is coming, I wish I had something pointing. If the downslope is coming down to that cane patch right there, it would catch 90% of the phosphorus and 28% of the nitrogen. I can't remember the numbers on there. It'd be catching it. So we could have a viable alternative to the chicken and the pigs and all the cows and all that stuff, being able to stop it. Again, right here, the big thing is a 10-meter width of river cane, 10-meter width compared to a 50-meter width of forest land. That's a big difference in it. And a lot of farmers and ranchers, they want to maximize their land, which is that's their right as landowners, and it's our right as people to say, well, don't pollute the land, well, don't pollute the water. And so if they would give just 10 meters along the creeks and rivers, 10 meters to river cane, that would stop a lot of the pollution. Otherwise, you have to put 50 meters of forest land to stop the same amount of pollution coming into water. And 50 meters would be, 150 feet? And most of them won't do that. But maybe they'll do 10 meters of river cane. So the initiative goes is to develop a global positioning record of existing cane breaks. The red spots is what's left of tribal land here in northeast Oklahoma. That's owned by the Cherokee Nation. And as we're going out on this land, Cherokee Nation's land is not the best. It's usually a floodplain land. It's usually sides of mountains and hills, but it's Cherokee Nation's land. And that's good. I mean, that's good the tribe has that land. So we've pretty much done all of Adair, Cherokee, and Sequoia County so far. I think we've covered about 15,000 acres, physically walking them out. And we have a whole lot more. The tribe has 55,000 acres, so we have 40,000 more acres to go. Hopefully this year we'll be faster and better at it. I'm looking forward around the Kenwood area and checking up on that land up there, because it looks like it might be some good cane breaks up there. So we have 3 goals, and I'll let y'all read that. I'm not going to get too much into that. So that's our goals, and we're going to have some outcomes on it. First, we'll do the methodology. What we do is it's usually Pat Gwynn and myself, or Mark, I can't remember Mark's name right now. What's that?
Dunham.
Dunham. Okay, sorry, Mark. But we usually go walking. And we take off, we'll have a couple of land spots marked out, and we'll go check them out. And if they do, if we're lucky enough, we can see it from the road. If not, we have to start hiking. And sometimes upper right-hand corner, it's easy one like that. And sometimes in the lower right-hand corner, it's hard like that. And I think the longest walk I've done in one day is like 7 miles, 3.5 miles in, 3.5 miles out. And we've encountered more water moccasins than I care to say I've encountered in my lifetime. There's been a lot. This past couple of weeks, I've seen about 20, 30 water moccasins, and they're pretty neat creatures, So we take off walking, and you start smelling them, you just walk faster. So here we are. We're in Cherokee Nation. It's not showing up too well. So right here, this is the little red areas is Cherokee Nation land. And the little black areas where we've walked off cane breaks. What we do is once we identify cane breaks, we walk around them with the GPS and collect waypoints around it. Then we come back to the tribe and we put it in there. And so then we put it in, we get the maps out. So what we can do now is once we get these initial findings, we can go back in a year or two and go to the exact same spot and see if the cane has grown or not. And so then we could look at how it's grown and how it's not. There's all sorts of research could be done with this. So we're looking at grad students and undergrad students might want to do some research with this because it's a really cool thing. So here's one hillside. This is springtime looking for a cane break. This is what you see. This is out on Indian Creek in southern Adair County. I think it's called Lackey Try. I'm not sure, but it's up on the hillside. It's one of the few cane breaks that has not been anthropogenically modified whatsoever. What it means is man has not had any kind of modification done work on it. So, beyond the hillside, so far removed, there's been no signs of man. And we'll talk about this site. This is a cool site. This is one that I want to do some stuff with later on. So oftentimes, this is what you see in the summertime. You see a good cane break that's about 10, 15, if you're lucky, 20 feet tall. So while Pat and Mark's walking around the edges, I take off through the center of it. And sometimes it's scary because you can't see your feet, and you're walking. You're like, boy, I hope I'm not stepping on a snake. But you're walking through the high points. You're checking the cane, see what's all in there, see if there's any cleared out spots, see if there's any signs of bears, see if there's what's in there. And just seeing where you can go where the largest cane is. And then this winter, we'll go back in, we'll size up the culms and the thickness of the cane and just determine how healthy the cane break is, each one of them. So here's after we get back, we walk them out, we map them out. This is over in Adair County still yet. Pretty much all the cane breaks we've found so far has been in Adair County. One here in Cherokee County, which is right here in the complex. And I do encourage you guys to check it out. I think Pat and Mark transplanted that here about 4 years ago. And here's another one. This is the first tract we mapped out. It was surprising. They were surprised that we found cane the first time out. That was a big one. That's 8.5 acres or so, and it's over by Delonaghy. And so one thing we're wanting to do is start talking to schools about river cane ecosystems and start talking to students about protecting them and doing conservation efforts with it because there's trash being thrown on this cane break. And if we can start teaching kids that cane break's good for the environment, maybe they'll quit throwing trash on it and we'll take care of these things. This one, so one of the outcomes that we're looking at on this River Cane Initiative is being able to identify exactly where the cane breaks are. This one is very interesting. This one is on Sallisaw Creek, and it turns out there was some mound destruction on this about 6 years ago. There were some mounds right where this, if you can see the road coming up through here on this map on the left-hand corner, right through there, they had some little mound sites there. Whenever they cleared that whole woods right there, they knocked out a bunch of mound sites there that the OU Archaeology Department had surveyed. Those mound sites are another tribe's ancestral mounds. And we came in, we destroyed them about 6 years ago. The past administration did. So that's something that we're working on getting fixed. Another thing that's really wild about this same place, if you'll see right here on this map that road comes in, there's a little dark spot on the side. That's this right here. That's an old mound site that was destroyed in the 70s, before NAGPRA. So now that mound site there is holding a pond in. And so that one happened before NAGPRA. The mound destruction coming into this road, making this road coming in here, it destroyed like 4 or 5 mounds. And so we got working with trying to fix that, because as a tribe we cannot be destroying other Native people's ancestral mound sites. It's just not right. It's against the law, and we need to fix it. So what's cool about this site is, see the circles around there on the left-hand side? Those are cane breaks right there. Whenever the first explorers came to this country, they'd always determine how old the village was by how large the cane breaks were adjacent to that village. And so if we use that same kind of thought process, we can pretty much determine, we could maybe conjecture, maybe hypothesize that maybe that cane break has been there since that village was there when they built that mound. So that mound site, maybe it's 1200 AD, so we're talking 800 years old. So maybe that cane is remnants of 800-year-old river cane ecosystem. It's possible. It's possible, but who knows? But it's still a neat idea. It feels really old when you're out there. So the outcome, the exact location of the cane breaks on tribal land is, there's a map of all the cane breaks it's not all, but we found about 5 more since that time. And that's the map of where we've spotted them. We've got them mapped out. And we've covered 15,000 acres. We've found approximately 55.4 acres so far. You know, if you do your ratios and all that stuff, that's 0.37% of our land has river cane on it. And whenever you started with, we were saying that's less than 2%. So we are way below what the experts in the field estimate what we have on river cane. So there's a need for this project, and this is a great example of need for this project. If anybody have anything, questions, or want to say anything, just say anything. Another outcome of this is to assist land management as well as state organizations in developing best practices for river cane. Again, we have this field on the left. This is an old Kentucky school right here, this map right here. And if we were to have cane breaks along with that little red line, which I have my pointer here, we'd be able to stop the pollution coming off from the cattle going into the creek. This right here is a cane break on one of those. I can't remember which one, but that's what we'd prefer, to be able to stop the pollution going into phosphorus and nitrogen going into our waterways, which is something you get 2 for 1 in that one. It's a culturally significant plant, and it does good for the environment. That's a win-win. Outcome 3 is have growth patterns for river cane for landowners. Those are some landowners planting river cane on there. It must be noted that a lot of time when you transplant big old root balls like that, river cane, you pretty much have a 50% mortality rate when you transplant like that. I know a lot of them are starting to clone river cane now, trying to get on the front of river cane. And then on the left, this is a new cane patch coming up. It's maybe a 1-2-year-old cane patch, because it's so small like that. It came from seed. A cane patch coming from culms, it has a different diameter, different size than it does when it comes from seed. So 10 meters of river cane is equal to 50 meters of forest riparian area. Again, the lower right-hand corner, see the lower tier plant, that's river cane. So if we had that around fields that was 10 meters wide, we'd be catching 90% of the nitrogen and 28% of the phosphorus coming off that field before it hits our waterways, which is pretty significant. Something that the tribe is ready to explore, and we've talked about that, and we're going to start working on transplanting it, and as well as cloning river cane, and trying to do this around cattle operations. The next one is to provide to general public educational materials with authentic research. And authentic research, I mean, is like we as Native people are doing our own research on our own plants for our own knowledge. Very seldom do you have that. Usually you have a white anthropologist or archaeologist coming in and telling us how we should be doing it. We should be doing it this way or that way. But this way, we are doing it within ourselves. It's that FUBU, for us, by us. So we're doing it ourselves. We're being able to show that we can protect the environment, as well as encourage other industries to be able to work with this, and we can have a good time and feed ourselves and be able to really respect our history and our culture, as well as promote our history and culture. One thing that I'm really looking forward to, I'm hoping that'll come of this, is establish fairly tribally protected river cane ecosystems. That's one thing. One thing we could do is ecotourism. the picture on the right-hand corner, that's my dream one of these days. Probably won't be alive if that ever happens, but that would be so cool if we had ecotourism where they could be able to walk through a river cane. If we could just get a portion of river cane, like when they say that cane breaks were 20, 30 miles long and 5, 10 miles wide, if we could just get a small ratio of that and show people what it used to be like, that would be so cool. That would be so neat. You see these all the time in the Asian movies. We had that, but we don't have it now. So right here on the left-hand corner right here, this is I can't even remember the name of it. This is southern Adair County. It's called the Lackey site. This is on Indian Creek. This is a cool creek in Adair County. This creek goes from south to north. And you'll see it curve up and go around that way. So this is going from the south to north. It's the only creek that we know of here in northeast Oklahoma. It goes from south to the north. So what I'm thinking, and what's neat about this, if you look around the corner of this right here, that curve, there's a real young cane patch there. It covers about an acre. And they're all about this long, so it came from seed. And if we could start connecting, the research is showing that whenever you connect cane breaks, the cane break gets larger. And so you can see where it's parceled out, where it's blocked out right here. That's all river cane in that old black outline right there. We can start connecting that. We could have a little river cane forest. It's a good 2-mile hike back to where that water is right there. But it'd be really cool. We're talking ecotourism. We're talking about having people come doing hiking trails. That would be something that would be interesting for tourism, I would think. Ecotourism on top of that, showing our environment, showing what we're doing for the environment.
Where is that one located? Or on the top right?
Somewhere in Asia. I don't know where. But one thing about it as well is that we can start talking about, once we get these forests going again, we can start talking about harvesting river cane to make baskets and such. So that's something that could be done. Another one is develop strategies and methods for artists utilizing river cane on tribal land. The picture on the left-hand corner, those are Eastern Band. I think that's Butch Goins, I'm not sure. And then there's Lucille Lossie right there, and I can't remember those other two ladies. But see all that river cane they have there in front of them? That's enough to make probably 3 or 4 baskets, decent-sized baskets, so that's a lot of river cane. The lower left-hand corner is William Cabbagehead blowing a gun, and there's Tommy Wildcat, playing his flute. The upper right-hand corner is a old river cane flute from either 1000 to 1200 AD that was found in a rock shelter in Arkansas. It was found with a cache of other river cane flutes as well as a gourd rattle. So our ancestors, whether they be Cherokee, Osage, Quapaw, we did have music. We did play the flute. And then on the lower right-hand corner is Ramona Lossie and myself. We were cutting cane, and she has taken some back to North Carolina. She's come down all the time to get cane, take back. That's a long ways drive for river cane, but when you don't have it and you need it, you'll do it. So one thing about this as well, not only is it going to be for mapping river cane, but it's also for having resources for basket weavers, blowgun makers, flute makers, as well as any other kind of art or any kind of rendition goes with river cane. There's a whole technology base on river cane that we've lost over time. Just like our language, we're losing our language over time. We've lost our river cane technology over time. But it's something that we can bring it back and we can start taking care of it. Again, once we get this going, we can start having permits for basket weavers to go out and gather river cane and decide, well, you want to get 20 or 30 at a time. You don't want to go out and get a couple hundred at a time. Right now, it takes me about a week to process 20 sticks of cane. So why would you want to take 100 sticks of cane except to, just be greedy? That's something we'll have to look. It's just like a fishing permit. Just go out and get so many of what you need. So it's something we need to think of it in the long run about this project, is developing tribal policies about our natural resources. One thing about this as well, I keep stressing, is that we're doing it for us, by us, and that there's Danny McCarter making a blowgun. We need to talk to him and find out what he knows about river cane, and we'll have to talk to different people that know about river cane, and just start getting the information out to the public so we all know about what's going on. We can all pretty much say the same thing, and we can understand. There's Thelma Forrest with her river cane baskets, and there's Pat Gwynn talking about river cane. He's right there where they transplanted the river cane. If you'll see how small that is It's a lot bigger than that. That cane is up over his head now, and that's within 3 or 4 years. So that's how fast it grows if you give it free rein. And I finally convinced them to quit mowing so close to it, so they can start getting larger. So it's just okay. On the map over here, it shows all the different Indian reservations in the United States. We're the only tribe in the U.S. that has river cane that we know of. There's river cane growing on its land, and we're doing efforts to protect it. The eastern band is getting there. They're growing it. They're propagating it, but they have to bring it back. We've had it here, and that's one thing that I keep stressing is that we need to protect existing cane breaks, existing river cane ecosystems. And so that's kind of neat that we're leading the way on river cane research. I'm proud of that. And finally, well, not finally, there's a couple more, is find the electronic signature of river cane. I have a professor friend at the University of Florida. He does ethnobiology all over the world. He does a lot of mapping stuff, and he's interested in finding the electronic signature of river cane. And once we get the electronic signature of it, just one pass satellite over the United States, and we'll be able to tell exactly where it is and how much we have. And so that's what he's going after. So we're trying to get enough data that we can get the signature on that. We're getting close, but it's not close as we'd like to get. In closing, river cane not only links us with our past, but also provides a viable solution for modern environmental concerns. Like the mound builders, that's a image of mound builders on the left. I looked for this one picture I came across years ago. It was a mound in Louisiana. It was a mound that was covered with river cane. It was just river cane all over, and that's where they kept the whole mound together was with river cane. Then I've also read where they've used cane mats on mounds to hold it together. It's like, wow, that's pretty neat stuff. So that's how important it is. Again, it's something that's not only important for us culturally, but also important for us environmentally. And then in closing, I got to say what to my grandma and grandpa, because they let me play in cane breaks when I was a little kid. You know, we'd go there and play. You know, it had to be winter time because they were eating snakes, but we'd go to spend all day long till it was dark and there. Special thanks to Chief Baker for letting us do this project with Pat Gwynn, Mark Dunham, Kevin Daughtery, which is Cherokee Nation GIS, and Dr. Justin Nolan, who turned me on to ethnobotany, and encourages me to keep on doing this research. And that's it, and I'll take any questions. Yeah.
You said of the land you've already tracked, it's 0.37% that you found?
Mm-hmm.
What do we estimate that it used to be?
We don't. Well, what the plan is after we do this initial research, I'll start going to land. I can't remember the name of the maps. Start going over there. I think they're made in 40s, and go over that and see where the land descriptions were, and also to go back to the land patents as well, and then to even go back to right after Lewis and Clark, the United States sent out surveyors all over this country that surveyed this whole country in 10-foot increments, or is it 10 meters? I can't remember at this moment. And they measured everything out and they kept notes. It's a matter of going back there and finding them and seeing where they found the river cane used to be, and then you use these maps and correlate them. It's a lot of research needs to be done. It will be done. Any other questions?
Are artists at all allowed to come on any tribal land?
Yeah, pretty much anybody is, really. Any Cherokee Nation person is able to go on tribal land. It was just the river cane is just try to hold them off on it. So far, what we've found so far, the river cane, there's nothing suitable for making baskets that I've come across. The tallest cane I've come across so far is 12 to 15 feet, and it's just not there. It's something that I've learned over doing different cane patches is to go in and thin it out and play with it and just take care of it. And it'll come out in a couple of years. We'll have to be able to harvest them, but it's something that we'll have to work on because most of the cane we've come across so far is within a forest canopy, in that you have trees in the middle of it, so it's not to be able to grow as large as it needs to grow. So that's something we're going to work on too.
How many feet per year does it typically?
Nobody knows. That's one thing neat about this project. I kind of fell into river cane research. My wife Shauna was going to grad school, and I was just hanging around at the college, and I was talking to professors and all that stuff. And They said, well, you should go. So I started going. Then you had to do a research topic. It's like, well, what can I do? What have I done? I thought, well, I'll do river cane. Found out nobody's ever researched river cane. They started about 10 years ago because of panda bears in Memphis. The Memphis Zoo had panda bears, and they were ran out of bamboo to feed them, so they started feeding them river cane. And then they started feeding them river cane. They ran out, and they're like, river canes is supposed to be everywhere. It's not. So that's why Mississippi State and University of Mississippi are leading in the colleges in river cane research. And so it's because of panda bears why a lot of white archaeologists, anthropologists, ethnobotanists started studying river cane. And I just kind of fell into it, and the Eastern Band was doing a lot of river cane stuff because, they didn't have enough river cane for their basket weavers. And so that's what happened.
What is the ideal size for artists to use?
Well, it just depends. If you're doing baskets, usually rule of thumb is about the size of your thumb, and usually you want that size. And then, for blowguns, flutes, for baskets, but it just depends. I come across a lot of cane breaks that have a lot of small cane that's really, really straight and long, and it's very mature, and it's barely size of quarter to half inch. And then I find out that's good for arrows. So I'm always talking to our bow makers about getting them cane arrows. And so it's kind of neat in that we're just starting this research. We just don't know. That's why we have to keep on talking to the elders, Cherokee elders that live out along these cane breaks. There's one we came across, cane break we came across as the elder gentleman, Indian gentleman, Cherokee of course, came out and said, well, that's what we were doing. We told him we was mapping this cane break, and he said, well, I don't know where this one came from. It just came out the last few years. It just started popping up. So those kind of things we're after that kind of information so we can start putting together and figure out what the growth patterns are, because we really don't know. Is that it? All right. Hello. Thank you.
Roy Boney, who is a language media technologist for Cherokee Nation, and the title of his presentation is Cherokee Language from Talking Leaves to Pixels. So that should be an interesting topic. Any other questions? That'll be next Tuesday at 2 p.m. here in the council chambers. Anything else? All right, thanks.